So in celebration of the Cubbies winning tonight, I decided to do a post about the most frequently asked questions that I get on Facebook. Most frequently asked question number 1 is probably, how do I know what I have is truly OCD? The short answer is, you have a doubting disease, and you're never going to really know that it's OCD. So pretty much anything I could say to that fear is essentially going to be reassurance, essentially. So really the only thing you can do is to accept the uncertainty and to really get comfortable with the discomfort. I know it sucks, and I know that most of you hate hearing me say acceptance, but with practice it does get easier. Second most frequently asked question, how do I know I won't act on my thoughts? Again, with reassurance in mind, not wanting to engage in compulsions, you don't know that you won't act. Sure, I could say lots of things, like nobody with OCD has ever acted on their thoughts, and statistically,
OCD is a disorder of fear, not a desire. The reason you're having these thoughts is because they are not your nature. Feelings are not facts, and thoughts are not threats.
but essentially the thing that's going to really help you overcome is facing the possibility of the fears being true. And this is where ERP comes in. This is where you learn to face your thoughts. Through exposure and response prevention therapy and through acceptance and commitment therapy, you learn that your thoughts aren't threats. But you'll never really know just by somebody telling you that you're not a danger, or just by reading articles that make you feel better. All throughout history, fear has been overcome in one way, and that's through facing it. Most frequently asked question, number 3, is what I'm thinking and experiencing normal?
Who even made that word up? Normal. What does that even mean? That's such a normal. Who's normal?
Chances are, if you've been experiencing this, or know other people who have been experiencing this, it's probably normal. Most people suffer from obsessions who are afraid of losing their familiarity with one another or their identity. So really, this idea of being normal is essentially that person's inability to accept that their life doesn't look like somebody else's. And not necessarily inability, but the process in which they're grieving their illness and their disorder and not having an easy life.
Who has an easy life anyways? Do you know anybody who has a totally easy life? Don't answer that, you probably do, but they're probably faking it, honestly.
So much about your recovery is accepting who you are and accepting your flaws and your faults and what you have to deal with as a person and not judging that. Some people capitalize off of having crazy thoughts, like Stephen King, for example. And some people capitalize off of being unique.
I'm sure you can think of somebody who is famous because they're different from everyone else.
I'm just saying that a lot of our illness is perspective. And through time and through experience and through acceptance, you'll learn that. Frequently asked question number 4. How can I stop thinking these thoughts?
You can't.
You've heard by now, everyone has intrusive thoughts. Everyone suffers from intrusive thoughts of all kinds of content. I mean, you really can't stop the random process of your brain that you honestly have very little to do with. The goal in treatment is not to stop thinking the thoughts or to stop feeling the feelings. The goal in treatment is to get comfortable with the discomfort. If you wake up every morning with the expectation of having or living with zero discomfort, you're going to be disappointed.
The goal in treatment is to learn to habituate to your fears, and that's done through ERP. That's done through acceptance. I love this show.
And this magical thing happens. When you stop being afraid of the thoughts, they fade. But they only fade when you stop trying to get rid of them and when you stop fighting them and resisting them. Most frequently asked question, number 5. Does medication help with OCD? The short answer is
Studies show that those who do both medication and therapy with a trained specialist have the greatest chance of improving.
do I think that you can do recovery without medication? Obviously. I don't take medication. I've never depended on medication before. However, most of that is because I was such a big chicken to take it, honestly. It's not a hill to die on. Nobody has anything to prove. There is no shame in reaching out for any resource that's made available to you.
I know so many people who have told me that their lives were literally saved because of medication.
Ultimately, every sufferer has to do what they're comfortable doing. Take the advice of a trained professional and do what's best. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below or reach out to me on Messenger.